Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. We're gonna keep going with the Iron Giant this time. So like I said, I didn't last time didn't finish it and I didn't really work on it at all. So if you were here last time, that's pretty much exactly where we left. And I think we're gonna try and get this guy done tonight. And if there's a bit more time, depending, we'll see. Maybe we'll do something else. I don't know what yet, but we'll figure it out. Might take still a good hour to get this properly finished, I assume. Kind of hard to tell, but there's quite a bit of things in it, so it's actually a bit. I think it's a bit more complex than it looks. So yeah, we'll go right into it. No need to wait. I think I'll probably keep the sign, but for now we'll hide it. It's boy. Okay. So let me see. Kind of feel like I need to be a bit structured now. So there's one thing that is an issue that I noticed is for some reason those legs seem too light compared to the body. So I'm just gonna take both and a bit of contrast real quick. Just that I think will help. Yep. That's the first thing to do. Actually, hold on. Let me take this as well. This lacks of contrast. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take this. We'll see. I think hand is probably dark enough. I'm gonna take those. I mean, if I was working with a very consistent palette, that's not necessarily something you want to do, because now I'm going to introduce a lot more colors, but you know, in the palette. But I don't really mind, because, like I said, I don't work in the context of a very limited palette, like an indexed palette, you know. And if it was the case, then it's easy enough to go in HSprite and limit the palette to an indexed palette, and HSprite does that very well. So it wouldn't be an issue to then you know, redefine a better palette that's more efficient. This could easily fit, I think, in 16 colors. With the boy and everything, 32 at the most. So yeah, we'll just keep going. I'm tempted to try and be a little more methodical now. So I think head is about right. I don't really feel like I need to do much more. This toy is really impressive. That's because this is not like I mean, this is probably a prototype. It's not the actual production model, but it is not 3D. I think this is a genuine photograph. Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, this you can tell, and it looks very, very clean for an actual toy. I wonder how big it is, though. It's probably not that small. I think it's around $120, if I remember, which is really not that horrible, you know, considering the quality. They even have like the ding on the head that he has there. Yeah, they really made this Very well. Okay, so head. I mean, the ding. I could maybe suggest some of it, but it is kind of tricky to do this side. I think it's just gonna look like a weird something you can't really quite understand. So we'll leave it out for now. Sorry. So now we got that neck. I think I'm gonna add one more line here for the neck. It's just it goes a little deeper. Probably makes sense. Putting on my glasses would be would also make a lot of sense considering how blind I am now. But I forgot, so if it looks a little funky, you'll know why. I'm gonna do that. Now it's time to be a little slower and a little more conscious about every shape and everything. These little studs, I think, are really important there. I think I'm gonna try and get that. So I think this should probably go a little higher. I'm not sure the angle is right. I'm gonna try this. You know, assuming that this shape there is this one, more or less. Still feel like it could go a little well, there's the angle of the camera too. I feel this spot is a little big. Let's try and see. Might destroy everything, but we're gonna go for it nonetheless. I feel like don't like when it's too big in here. I think this seems a bit better. Very tricky. Yeah, we'll try that. We'll do that. Oh. Let's forget about anti-aliasing for now. Okay. I think this we could go a little lighter, just to suggest a bit more light, but not much though. I think I could do, or maybe I could go really dark there. Actually, let me try that. That might be a good way. Keep this like this, because I want to make sure the contrast doesn't dip too low. That's probably better. But this needs to go up too, because I really like that triangle there. So I think I need to try and get some of that. It's generally a good thing to try and really look at things. 3. That is 3. To look at things in a very sort of you know, take your time to look at things. Don't rush it. You know, so that you have a better understanding of things, and then you don't really have to look at them too much anymore. And so here we get this. It's like straight, and then there's some kind of kink there. This might be trickier to get. Yeah, this one's gonna be a little difficult. I don't have that many pixels to play with that. Yeah, this one's hard. Sometimes pixel art is so frustrating. You feel like all you need is that one more pixel or that one more row of pixels, and but you just don't have it. So you have to deal with that. So let's try this. Here I feel like it can probably mirror, even though it's technically not a mirror since it is a little bit offset, but at that point I think it's fine to do that. A little bit lower, we're gonna go there because there's an angle in the shoulders, just maybe a pixel, so makes sense here to go maybe a little 1 pixel lower to conserve this. Okay, so we're gonna do this. This will we'll do that. Okay, so that's a bit better. Here we're just going to use probably something like this, and then here we'll go like that. Kind of want to keep it rounded, but I don't like the all these values, so just go with one color for now. One value. Yeah, let's just to get something clean for now. Okay. And then, okay, we're gonna try and kill this. here we're going to just suggest there's something in between those. And finally do a bit of shadowing. Oops. It's gonna be we'll do something like that. Okay. Go deeper there. Okay. Just gonna go one more here. Like that. And here we'll go like this, I think. Okay, so this is slightly better, closer, I think, to what it should be. Wait. This is yeah, this is tricky. This is really tricky. This I wonder if I should go even a bit wider. I feel like here it's this whole part is very complex for really no reason. I mean, it is perfectly justified in the design, but I think if you look at this, I don't think I benefit a lot from getting all that stuff there. It's just I think it's just uselessly complex, and I'm not a big fan of complexifying so much. So I think in that case we're going to take a little bit of a license there and just focus on making something that looks clean and simple. I think it's probably the best. Yeah, I think it's fine to do that. Then okay, we have so I think this spot's not too bad. Even though there's no, okay, that's interesting. I actually messed that up. There is no other sphere there, so I don't really need any of that. So yeah, I need to fix this. I need to fix this. Let's try. Just a quick block out. Cylinder shape. That is probably just what we need. No more. Wish I could suggest a spot, but let's see. Maybe there's a way. do that. Okay, that sphere is seems really big. I'm gonna try and reduce this quite a bit, and maybe just that extra part there, and then we'll move everything. Have to go in between there. I think I can. Wish I could get a bit more perspective in that area, but it's a bit tricky. Skip it for now. I think we can do that. Then we have here. There's a way too much complexity as well. So we'll do it really simple. That's enough. I think we don't need more than that, honestly. Okay, we got that, and then we got this one, and then we got the arm. That's probably right. Not much there. Just a matter of getting the shape, which I think we have more or less. We'll just need to be anti-aliasing here, and probably this could be that. I don't dislike the hand. It's simple enough, but I think it looks thin and a bit more delicate than the rest of the body, which I think is what matters really. So he's got only 4 fingers, I think, or 3 fingers plus a thumb, I think. Looks like. So I think this is probably enough to convey what we want. Let me see, what else? We got the little pin there, which looks a little oddly placed. Maybe this is better. And then, so I think this arm is decent now. Let me flip real quick again, make sure. Yeah, I think the overall pose, demeanor is a bit comical, which really I think what is the character is about, at least in the beginning of the film, for sure. It's funny because Brad Bird, when people mentioned the the fact that the Iron Giant was reminiscent of E.T. for them. He was saying, well, E.T. doesn't lay waste to an entire city, so not really. but I still think that there's some that you can draw the comparison. And I think he knew that it was true, but he just made fun of it. He's smart enough to know exactly what he was doing when he was making his film. So that's alright. Now we're gonna... I'm so tempted to put the little studs now. You know, it's almost this little fun part that is so had so much with I kind of want to do it. Maybe here, 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 here. 4. Well, I have to adjust the contrast. It's too high, but that's okay, because they need to feel very small. Otherwise, this really messes up the scale quite a bit. We've had a similar issue with the Rocketeer. It's a very, very similar case. I don't think we need anything there. So in here, I'll put 60%. Just leave a little bit of a suggestion. It's probably enough. We'll do the same thing here. And then maybe... hold on. 2, 4. And then we get another one here. Oh. Then 2, 3, 4. That's all right. And here I'm not sure we really want to do that, but we'll give it a shot. See if we can have a couple, or if it looks just weird. I think it's probably alright actually. Yeah, I think, I'm not sure. You know, maybe this reads as they're there, and that's all we need. You know, it definitely this spot needs them. We're gonna do that for sure. So same thing. 2, 3, 4. Oops. Oh, this is gonna be annoying. Let's see if we can suggest a bit of a shadow. Three and 4. Yeah, that's alright. I wonder if I should do the same there. Probably, but it's a bit big. It's a bit too much. So I have to bring them up, but then they're gonna butt against this, and I can't have that. Let's see. Maybe I can only suggest the ones that are up there. Maybe that's enough. It kind of bothers me that there are let me see if I can move this. This is gonna be a problem. It's always a problem. Thought it was gonna be the fun part, but turns out not really. Let's see. Kind of want them to be high, you know. Okay, then what we need to do, I think, is go even brighter so that they read even though they're close. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. Now it's just a matter of finding the right value. Too much. Maybe. Yeah, that's about right. This, oh, let's get rid of that. And now we'll take those. Just need to find the proper positioning. Somewhere in there. Okay. And now we're trying to find the oops, no, too much. Oops. Actually, I can almost go darker there. Yeah, I think that's good. So we got that. Now what? Here a little bit of those. Oh, wait. Like this. There's two indentation there. That's okay. I think we're good with that. Now this arm I think was more as well. So okay, there's something interesting here. This looks very big compared to this one. So here, what am I gonna do for that? Let's see. Okay, let me see if I can. This is a bit tricky there. A bit tricky. Let me put this under. Because I think the positioning was wrong. Because you can't really see unless. But I don't want him to look like. Well, I guess maybe. Maybe you could do that. Let's see. Yes, it could. And this one would be a little smaller. I think we can go a bit bigger there. This could be a little higher. Seems that seems a bit better this way. Let me commit to this. Yeah, and I think what I'm gonna do is, because I really want that feeling of being a little offset. It's too much, but I think we could just lower it by a hinge like this. And it's yeah, but I still need that. I don't know. It's very nice the fact that those joints, they stick out from that plane. And I kind of lost that, so I'm not too happy with this. I think I need to keep at least this like that. And then here we get a little bit of an issue there. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. Boom. Because why not? A bit faster, you know. Trying to get things to read a bit clean. Okay. So getting there. This I think is fine, except this positioning a bit strange maybe. Let me see. No, I think that's fine. Better this way. Here I'm gonna try and get something a bit more consistent there. So this was it's a bit big again. I'm gonna go a bit small there. And here I try to keep this a bit simpler. So we got that, and then a couple of pixels of this thing. That's all we need, I think. No need to go too crazy. God, this feels a little big. Oh no, again. Why? Okay. I'm gonna have to move this bit maybe. Not the best, but I think that's alright. Because I want both arms to look about the same thickness. I think this could be a bit larger, so we feel it on both sides. Like that, and like this. Yeah, so that's more consistent. So see, it's interesting because if you look at what we had when I open it up, there's really quite a bit of change actually. You know, like even like this feels thinner and quite a bit of change. But the reason I'm doing this is because I suspect that I've lost a little bit of the attitude, like in particular in that area, which is kind of messed up, but at least it had some interesting motion to it. This is a bit flat now, so I'm not sure that I necessarily want. I think this is all good. It's all fine. I think this is all more or less an improvement. This whole shape, I think everything is better. But I think I've lost something there. Maybe. Let me flip this again. Let me try if I can just raise this a bit at least. Yeah, I think this is fine doing this. We'll just assume that you know, the joint there shifts a little bit against this. I think it's fine, because otherwise I'd have to. I mean, I could be courageous and try to shift this entire part there and kind of try and get it to have more of an angle. But we're getting into a really dangerous territory there. Very scary. Because I really want to try and give him as much attitude as I can. This feels a little twisted weird though. I'm not sure this is really the proper way. I think I've overdone it. I think 1 pixel we can afford, but not much more. Yeah, I think this is all right. Not too worried. So now I kind of question if the arms look a little bit too thin. I'm kind of questioning this. Maybe I need more sort of tapering there. And leave that really thin part for the end. Kind of a question there. Yeah, let's try it. I think there's improvement there possible. I'm gonna do this on another layer because I don't want to mess everything up. So just to make sure that I don't destroy everything. But even that, I think, see, compared to that, I think this helps quite a bit. Yeah, I think I'm happy just doing this. We're gonna try and do the same here. How was that? Something like that. Oops. A little funky there. Of course, angle is all different, so kind of difficult to get the same. You have to cheat that a bit. That's alright though. We'll find a way. Maybe that, and then the other side will do something like that. which I think is acceptable. Yeah, I think that's all right. I think this is better than that. Like you compare. Yeah, we're gonna keep this. So that, I think all of this is not too bad. Trying to think here. Seems like this should be a bit bigger. I think, yeah. Yeah. I'm not too happy with the way this ends there. I really want to keep that angle, that nice angle there. So I think we're gonna do that. And I also wonder if I kind of want to feel like this spot overlaps a bit more. Feels like it's kind of detached. And I'm not a big fan of that. We'll do that for now. And I knew that going in, I knew this, the overall shape would be a bit challenging, but that's kind of what it is, you know. And I really think that this, I have the feeling that all this spot there needs to feel like it's going really deep in shadow. It's just there's something in the value that doesn't sit right with me. So we're gonna go a little nuts there for a second and see what happens. I'm gonna leave out this guy, but I think, yeah, I think I want to do that. I want to feel like it's going deeper. Yeah, and I'm even gonna take this one actually, because if you notice, this seems much brighter because it kind of sticks out. So I think I'm gonna darken this quite a bit. I don't necessarily want to increase the contrast too much. maybe just a bit, but essentially I just want to go darker, like so. I think we can afford to do that. And I kind of want to do same here. All of that, I feel like we can go quite dark. Make sure that you know, we use the contrast properly. Something like this. So now compared to the beginning, yeah, I think this feels much stronger overall. Yeah, the only thing though is this doesn't seem right, because this spot, oops, I really need to bring this quite a bit higher, I think. It's something that doesn't quite work, because look at the overall proportion of that compared to this, and this probably needs to go a little wider, and this one definitely even more, like that. Yes. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Can't believe how difficult this is to get this shape. You really think that it's a fairly simple thing. You just have to look at it, but kind of puzzles me a bit. Still fighting a bit with this for a moment. Okay, not too bad there. Also, now I want to, because I've increased the contrast in several areas, I want to make sure that I don't fall short in others. Like this could be a bit darker. Reads a bit better. Will I use the same color here for this? That. So we're making progress. It's a bit definitely a fairly long one to do, I guess there's just that much little details everywhere and fairly tricky shapes, but now we're getting really close, I think. So it's a matter of trying to get this, which we're gonna try and do. Okay, so here we're same thing. We have to really keep things simple, so we can't really go nuts. Couple of studs will do. Let's see if we can go a little longer, just to leave some space for the stud. I think it's all right. We can. I think we can do that. No big deal. So there is this pattern and this. This could go really dark for sure. And here, I wonder if I should leave a space there. Maybe not. And then here we have something we'll use the same value here for all the joints. I mean, at this point, it is really, you know, just trying to get a sense for things. I can't really do. There's so much detail there. Maybe that is fine. I wonder if I should try and get sense of a bit of perspective in there, but that's very tricky at this point. It's getting just simply too small to really get convincingly. And honestly, I think this is fine because this is not the part that people are gonna look at the most. So it's always I'll try and copy this over. See if there's any value in taking some of that. I think I want just the bottom. Maybe not this. It's a different angle too. Yeah, this one's a bit complex for sure. Let's see. Commit to that. Get rid of that. Let's see. Try and be a little methodical about it. That. So here really it's more of a sort of an approximation of, or just trying to get you know, to read as more or less what we expect to see if we know a little bit the character. But obviously, if you look carefully at it, then you'll know it's not the same thing. But I think we can accept a little bit of that. Okay. And now I think I want to go here. Legs. Legs, I think they were not too far off. Really need a bigger screen. No feet. Oops, bit more shade there. So again, this is the same thing. This is more of a, you know, of an average representation of what we expect than something really accurate and precise, and you know. Like, does it look, as long as we get more or less the overall shape of the foot and the fact that there's two sort of like pins joints there, and that's probably enough for what we need. I think we could have a little bit of contrast there for sure. shadow. That would be, I think, a wasted opportunity. I think it's important to realize in a design like this, if you squint, you would be tempted. I think if you do this character, I think you would be tempted to have all sorts of very light or very close values of gray. You know, like nice, clean gradients everywhere. But I think most people miss the hard contrast. They miss to realize how deep the shadows go in places. You know, like if you squint at this area, for instance, if we take this and we do like a Gaussian blur on it, then you can clearly see that this area goes quite dark. You know, I think a lot of people they don't necessarily, they see all those subtle values, but they don't really look at the extreme contrast that happens very quickly in some areas, and that's really what makes the lighting feel a bit more convincing. You have to look at those and make sure they're there, and you're not too shy with them. Because if you are, then you sort of mess the entire range. You know, like even though some of those, all those values might be right, if you miss the very deep shadows, then it really affects the entire lighting. So that's something to I think just to look for generally. And again, it's really not you know, difficult in per se. It's just that you just have to think about it when you're doing it, you know, in a very conscious way. You know, you don't just look at things and assume. You have to really look. There's an exercise that people that are proofreaders do. That is that I really would recommend that you guys try it. I can't remember how it's called, but basically this is it's this text that you read, and then you have to make sure that you try and find all the, you know, the spelling errors and all the typos, and a lot of it's specifically designed so that they miss a letter once in a while, or actually sometimes entire words, but they do it in a certain way that your brain, because there are known expressions, known words, your brain kind of fills in the blanks automatically. And so then when you do this exercise, you realize that some of the very complex spelling errors you will find, but you will miss entire words in the thing, and many of them, because they are very strategically omitted. And the point of this exercise is to make you understand how your brain is actually not really looking at things, but more glancing very quickly, because it's just for efficiency. The brain doesn't really need to get all the small detail, all of the right information in order to understand something. It creates a lot of connections that are just from that are completely empirical, which means by experience. And those connections in the brain, the older you get, the stronger they get, and the easier it is to assume things. And this goes for the visuals as well. You look at things and you assume things because your brain is sort of filling all the useless, so to speak, detail, and just looks at the big picture and assumes that everything is just the way it is. And but then that's why you're missing some important things, because you think that you're looking at something, but you're in fact you're letting your brain tell you what it is. It's an interesting and a fairly abstract concept to explain, but I can guarantee you that if you are very methodical about your approach and really spend the time to just pause, stop painting, just look, and then you realize how more efficient you get with your reference. And then you will get those things that I mentioned that will make a true, very, very strong visual difference, and that are really not that difficult. It's just that you have to make the effort in the beginning, especially to really acknowledge, and then after a while, it's becoming a bit easier, a bit more like a second nature. Basically, what I'm saying is, don't trust your brain in to tell you things. Your instinct, just be very very conscious. Force your brain to look at things in a very practical way. I think here we can go all dark. In fact, it has to do with the left part, right part of the brain, which I never remember which one it is. So I won't prefer not to say anything, because I might very well be wrong. But it is really the creative part versus the analytical part, I think a lot of artists tend to develop their creative, imaginative part, but they lack the training in the analytical part of the brain. And it's a shame, because it's really an advantage that you can easily, I think, easily get on a lot of artists, just because you know, and you spend the time to do it, to think about those things. It kind of comes for free if you're doing it, Okay. Ooh. Getting really close now. I'm happy, because I really wanted to get this guy done, and I know it's long. If for people who are there and been there for since the part 1 and have looked at it, it can be I understand that it's a little long, but I always try to to make things the best that I can, and not always successful by any means, but at least I try not to give up too early on things. Give it a chance, you know. So that's why I think this if I ever make this game, it's gonna take forever. I'm a bit worried that I'm just gonna procrastinate and, you know, and come back on sprites and so on and adjust design forever. Very difficult thing. I think probably one of the most, if not the most challenging things to do for an artist, or for any I kind of don't like that term artist, because it has a, I don't know, it has a sort of a connotation that I don't really like. But if you're doing something creative, or if you're trying to make something, let's say, I feel like this is really the most challenging part, is to know when you should stop and consider that you've done your best, and it's as good as it's gonna get, you know. That is really a problem for many creative people. Letting go. I feel like it's a quality that strong artists, or strong creative people, know how to do better than the others. This is they know how to gauge what really makes a difference. Not necessarily for themselves, but for the rest of the world, you know, the people. And whereas I think a lot of us, we look at it with through our own prism, you know, and we don't, and so our perception of it is very much based on our own preconceptions of what things should be. And it's often very different to what most people think when they look at what you're doing. And the obvious too is a very difficult thing to deal with, and by that I mean when you're making something, I feel like you always have a very strong assumptions of what people know or don't know, and it can be extremely dangerous, actually. So I remember there was a good story. I think I'll never forget that, actually, because I learned something that day. I was working my first game as an indie guy back in second game, 1984, around that time. 1980, I started in 92, and then I worked on this by myself for a good year, and build my tools, build my game, do my stuff and everything, and I test it again and again, and because at the time there's no, I'm by myself, and I don't have like a QC department or none of that stuff. So so I test the hell out of it, to the point where I'm like, yeah, this is good. I'm pretty sure that there's no obvious game breaking bug. I'm pretty sure that at this point I'm good. And so I have this good friend that we did made our first game together, and he comes in and he plays it, and he's like, yeah, pretty good, no problem. So at that point I'm getting really very confident, and then I give the just for fun, I give the controller to someone who has never played a video game almost, and it was a platformer, and they see, you know, so like Mario or whatever, jump around platforms. Very simple. There's one, and then you press up to, on the joystick at the time, you press up to jump. Very simple. Left to go left, right to go right. And then I gave him the controller, and the first jump, the very first jump, goes right through the environment. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, this, you know, it was crazy. Like literally the first platform, and I'm like, what the? So, you know, I'm thinking at that point, I'm thinking, well, that's probably just like that one thing in a million that's going to be really hard to debug, because you know, I'll have to really to track it and see what's going on. But anyway, let's move on. And he starts again in first platforms, goes right through it again, and he keeps doing it. And then at that point, so I literally grab the controller from his hands, and I play the game, and I don't have the problem. And I swear, at this point, I thought I was gonna go crazy, and I was kind of almost yelling at him, like, "What is it that you do? You know, that doesn't make any sense. How does that?" It made no sense, and so after a while, I decided that I'm gonna look carefully at his hands while he's playing, and then I noticed that when he jumps, he presses up. Oh, thank you, DP Shane. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I like to see you play. Yeah, the Iron Giant. So anyway, listen to that story. I'm gonna finish it quick. So then I look at his hands, and then I realize that the guy, when he jumps up, he pushes up on the controller, and then when the character comes down, he presses down, which makes no sense to any gamer whatsoever. You know, like gravity brings you down. You don't press down to bring Mario down. No one does that, except people who have never played, because they have no preconception, no of all the assumptions and the empirical sort of knowledge that you have. And it turns out in my code, I had this stupid bug that added some kind of value when I was, you know, the controller was down, and he was going through the collision. So, and that day, I learned the power of assumption in not trusting yourself to necessarily judge your own whatever you do. You know, really put it to the test with other people, because it can be really traumatizing, actually. Yeah, so that was it's a good learning experience right there. I'm gonna go a little darker on the hands, because I feel like I really need to make sure they show, you know. And I'm a bit worried that it's gonna be a little too light, even though at least this one is fine, but this one, I think it's hard to read. So we're gonna see if we can, you know, just work a bit more on the silhouette rather than anything. I think it's fine. It doesn't really have to have the same value as this. Can be a little bit shadow by the body. So how's Mega Man Chic? How are you? Have you gone far? It seems like since last time I saw you play, you got so much better at it. I think this game would drive me crazy. I would just break a controller or two on it for sure. Yeah, it's good. It seems like the mechanics, though, they're very. I feel like they really own the, you know, the sort of crappy, weird mechanics that you had in the 90s and that no one cared about at the time because it was just like that. But I feel like when you put this game against modern standards, it's a little. I mean, you just look at Cuphead and it's a little hard, the comparison. But I guess it's just what it is. Hey, Murder Bunny. I think I saw you. Yeah, I saw you in Sheik's chat. Welcome. We're making a pixel art here. So No, I'm not playing games, but making. I can show you guys all the characters actually, since you're new. So there you go. This is all I've done so far. I mean, plus, so the way I started originally, so I have this idea. It's probably never gonna happen, but I'm just making this as a goal for the stream anyway. I have this idea of making a game that has all these parodies of like iconic movie characters with lots of weird synergies, so that imagine like the sort of a darkest dungeon, but your team can be comprised of RoboCop, Sarah Connor, Jessica Rabbit, and the Rocketeer, and how would that look, And then so it's a bit crazy. I started with those very small, super minimalistic guys. And I wanted to see how small you can get before before something can't be recognized at all anymore. And it turns out you can. I think you can go really, really small. And I bet you someone with a lot of patience and talent could go much smaller than that. Actually, I think you could go even smaller. No problem. I haven't tried, but I think it could be possible. So yeah, I did a bunch like this, and then I started kind of second guessing myself, like is it weird, or I wasn't sure that it was the best approach, and then so I started doing bigger characters. There are a bunch of Michael Jackson here that were more like the size that you would get around. Probably around the time of if you look at Capcom games like Alpha 3, maybe about that time, that look, that size. I thought I really am a very big fan of that era, so I was trying to get something that along those lines, and so I've been making those since then. And today last time I was trying to make the Iron Giant. It's a much more complex character, but it's a good challenge. It's good fun. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's nice to you. Nice of you to say that. So yeah, Darkness from Legend, a Ridley Scott movie from 1980. 2 something. Very, very much. I'm fond of this movie, but it's kind of cheesy, and it's like a bad Princess Bride in a way. But the darkness and the whole part with darkness, I think it still holds up very well. Actually, interestingly, it's now currently I think on Amazon Prime or Netflix. But here's the problem with this. There's 2 versions of that film. There is a European version. It's not because I'm European that I'm saying this, but it's just a matter of fact. There's a European version, and there's an American version of it. And the American version, so the European version was the actual director's cut. It was a Ridley Scott cut. And then what happened is that when they wanted to release the movie in the States, the producers... some studio executives at the time said there's absolutely no way you're gonna release this the way it is, and they really forced him to put out another cut, and I think they actually ruined the movie entirely. Oh, I didn't see the alert, but I heard it though, so I'm not sure. So someone followed. Hold on, I'll know in a second. And yeah, so they forced literally his hand to do another cut, and it was very much aka Murder Bunny. Thank you for the follow. Thank you very much. I don't know why the adder didn't show in my screen, but I heard it, so let's go. Yeah, and anyway, so but the problem is that so that when they did is that they show the darkness right in the very first almost very first few shots of the movie. So they completely ruin the anticipation and the reveal of that character that comes in around the second half of the movie in the original version. And also the music, I don't even know why they did this, but Jerry Goldsmith had done a wonderful soundtrack for it, and they changed it, and they had a Tangerine Dream music for it. I don't dislike Tangerine Dream, but I'm sorry, what they did for Darkness was really not even in the same level as Jerry Goldsmith did. So very, very bizarre choices there. Unfortunately, the version that's in the US is not the best version, and there's an even better version that is a director's cut from the European version, where there's a much longer scene with the witch. At some point they get in some sort of swamps, and there's a big green witch, and the original theatrical release, even in Europe, it's like Jack, the Tom Cruise character, slashes the witch. Takes 2 seconds and she's gone. But in the original version that he wanted to have, and there's a version of that cut where it's a much longer scene with a very fun dialogue, very storybook story, kind of Princess Bride-ish type of dialogue, where he uses his wit to try and charm her, to seduce her into thinking into not eating him, basically. So yeah, very cool. This is my favorite John Carpenter movie, The Thing. So that's Mac Reedy, the helicopter pilot, played by Kurt Russell. Jason Voorhees from Michael Myers from Halloween. They have a new Halloween coming out now, weirdly, but why not? Freddy Krueger. And this is Dr. Herbert West from Stuart Gordon's Reanimator. Indy, we have Robocop, and we have Sarah Connor as she's in Terminator 2 when she's about to go and try and kill the Cyberdyne engineer in the desert. She's in. This is a kind of a silly one. This is Alex from the Flashdance. This is probably a movie that is a lot less known, but I really like it. Much greater movie from the 70s, a William Friedkin movie, very well known for The Exorcist, the first one. And he did this movie called The French Connection. It's about a drug trafficking during the 1970s, where drugs came from France through Marseille and the New York harbor, and then there was this cop. It's a true story that brought down what they called back then the French Connection, which was that that way of bringing the drugs into the U.S. This Red Sonja, more like the comic book character version of that Robert E. Howard character. This is our friend Pinhead from Hellraiser. This is Jack Torrance from The Shining, The Rocketeer, Jessica Rabbit, David Bowman from 2001 Space Odyssey, Tony Montana from Scarface, and that's Ripley from the first Alien with the cat Jonesy in the box. And there's the Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Dr. Zira and Cornelius, the two chimps from the first, at least the old Planet of the Apes, the 1968 one, Franklin Schaffner. This is Luke, obviously. This is Beetlejuice and Elephant Man. The beautiful film. You guys have to watch this film. It's one of my top 5. Beautiful black and white movie, 1984 from David Lynch. Probably one of his most accessible films, actually, that you can actually understand without having a manual, And this is what's his name? Ben-Hur from the William Wyler movie, 19 59, I think. This is obviously Terminator, T-800 from Terminator 2. And here we have the Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley. And this is a very famous character from Apocalypse Now. His name is Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore. And you probably all know the famous line, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. And also Charlie Don't Surf, which was, those two lines actually were written by John Milius, who also directed Conan the Barbarian. He was a wonderful writer, and he also wrote some of the most famous lines in movie history, like Dirty Harry, when he says, explains the whole power of the Magnum 44, and that whole like, do you feel lucky, punk, and make my day. It's all John Milius. And this is John J. Rambo, John J. and Forrest Gump, and finally the Iron Giant and Conan there. So, and those two are just made those for fun, because I kind of want to imagine that there's a weird story with aliens invading Earth, and then all the movie characters, they have to sort of like unite to fight those. And I did a bunch of environments too. So those would be more for like an isometric representation of like a schematic of a map. So you could go from environment to environment, and every time you find an environment, then you sort of uncover a little tile, and that would be your map. So I did a bunch of more like hard surface and a bit more natural environment, and some few vehicles. Christine, the Plymouth from what's his name? Was it Brian De Palma who directed, based on the Stephen King story? DeLorean from Back to the Future, the Love Beetle, and the Spinner that I did a few days ago from Blade Runner. And this is like props, like a little old Apple computer. The Speak and Spell from E.T., and that's what's his name? Marty McFly, skateboard. So yeah, quite a few things, slowly filling the page. So it's cool to do. It's really it's a good exercise. Really, like I said, some of the past the past streams, I feel like it's a really good exercise for artists, because you really have to make the best of not much, and that I think that teaches, at least I feel like it teaches me a lot of things about being efficient and a little bit economical in your approach. Definitely not as sometimes as easy as it looks, but not nearly as hard as some people make you believe either. It's a bit in between. I think some things are difficult, but after a while you get used to them, and you know what to do. Like this lacks a lot of a lot of lighting, so we're just gonna do a little bit of something there, just to suggest a bit of shape. Doesn't have to be too crazy. It's probably just enough. Wasn't quite dark there because it's all shadowed in there. No, I think I need to keep this pretty big. Question. So here's so now we're gonna just try and get just a little bit more color complexity, because the problem with a design like this is that works really well in the film, but it's a bit boring, because it's all gray basically. So I think with metal, generally what I do is that I try to Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, the movie knowledge, to be fair, it's just something that I really like, that I've always liked. So both games and movies, and so I always try to read a little bit about them. And it's not really, I don't know that much, but I know just enough, to. I think it's like I was saying actually. Someone was asking like, what's the point of telling all that stuff, and but I feel like if you work as a concept artist, generally, and you're making a character, one of the first things you'll ask is to have some sort of backstory for a character, because this really informs the design. And you may think that, well, you already have the design, you just copy it, but there's still, I think, a certain amount of background knowledge that can help you determine the best approach for a character. For instance, if you understand who the Iron Giant is, and most notably in the beginning of the film, when he's kind of this goofy, he's almost like a pet, he's kind of a goofy guy, and he likes to play and eat trees, and but he's so I think it's very much an important part of who he is, and if you know this, and you know a little bit about the story of Brad Bird and how he came up with the whole, not himself the story, but how he adapted it to the screen, then it just gives you a little bit. I feel like it gives you just a little bit of more to work with, than just being, I'm just gonna copy what I see, So that's why I tend to I try to do just a minimum amount of research, or at least tackle things that I know a little bit about. Don't have to go crazy, but still always a fun thing, I think. And so in terms of the color, what I was gonna do is something like this. You can take because if you look at the film, depending on the lighting, you see it's all green there because he's in the forest, so they assume that there's a lot of sort of green light bouncing all around, and they really take an arbitrary sort of stance on the color of that character at that point, just to make it fit, in the environment, and make it a little more interesting. And yet, when you watch the movie, you really don't think about it. You'll see, if you look at it again, if you're very analytical about it and you look at it, you will see that color of that character jumping around quite drastically from one scene to another. But it always reads as, the metallic gray guy, because your brain, again, sort of is full into mixing up the local color with the actual environment, and the lighting. So in a case like this, it's okay to do a little bit. I tend to consider that all my characters, they're more or less seen in a fairly sort of clean sunlight environment. So that's why you get the deep shadows into the sleeves, for instance, and way deeper under that coat. Same thing for him. So this reads as more of a direct to strong lighting, and then your brain sort of assumes that there is sort of a blue sky. So you can go a little bluer in the shadows. You can cool the shadows like this, snow will reflect the sky quite a bit, so you get cooler shadows. And even in those areas where you wouldn't think that they're actually way cooler. That if you look at that hue here, this is you see where it sits there, and you compare it to this, and you see there's a drastic change. But also, if you look at the shadow will tend to go higher and cooler, and then the key light will go down. So try to do that. So anyway, and the point of all this is that here we can take this guy and try and play a little bit. We could even do it with the curves. We'll try. It might be a little difficult. So you do you do curves. So the way the curves work, it's fairly simple. This is your brightness. So that axis is your brightness, and that axis is your output, your input. So basically, let's say, and then you can separate the red, green, and blue channel. So let's say I'm gonna take the blue, and I'm gonna pick a point. So this, if I pick here, this means this is where this value sits. So if I want to have a bit more blue in there, I'm gonna bring up the blue, right? Obviously, since it's a curve, everything's gonna be affected. But if I add now more points, then you see this is preserved because I tell like this value around here, I don't want you to climb up in blue. And so this way, what we can do, same thing with the green, we'll do. And so effectively what we're doing there is that we're cooling the areas that are a little darker, but we're preserving a little bit warmth into the highlights. And if I want to go a little more red in the highlights, I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm going to make sure that everything else stays touch. And you see here, this area will get warmer and warmer and redder, but this is not affected because it's protected by that, right? So fairly easy to understand, and it's a very powerful tool when you want to sort of offset a little bit your lighting, you know, and your temperature depending on where you sit. So, but I really want to be subtle about it. I don't want to go like super crazy, because then if I do this, this will affect too much your it won't read as lighting. It will read as you know, the display is painted a color for some reason that is different than the other. And then I think now with the color balance, I'm just gonna put even more blue overall now, or less overall. And so now if you look at this guy, he still sort of reads as metallic gray, but in fact if you look at compared to the beginning, this was very dead, and this is a lot more interesting color richness. So it's always a thing to think about when you're doing your, you know, I feel you think here I'm gonna try and make sure this sign reads nicely, and so that feels a bit more interesting, I think. Now here you can see that this, I didn't do the treatment there in the shadow that I did there, and so this looks very gray, you know. So a trick to make sure that you paint with the same hue is you take this and you paint in color mode. And so what this will effectively do is that it will just transfer the actual hue. See, this becomes blue when I paint on it, but it doesn't affect the lightness or the brightness. So now I can make all of this nice same blue, and it will fit much nicer now, you see, in the with the rest. Same thing here, we can go a little bluer. or in that case, maybe I want to go, okay, since it's very dark, we're gonna go a little more green because there's more green in the shadow. So we'll do that. And so now they fit much better. Oops. Get rid of that. We're gonna do it's probably okay. Okay, and finally, I think there's a little touch we could do. There's a bit of green in the eyes. That toy, I think they really nailed everything, and I think they it's not a coincidence if they put a little bit of green in the eyes. So I'm gonna do that as a last little thing. I'm gonna keep the signs separate just in case I want to go back to original Iron Giant. So let's take those two eyes and try and play a little bit with the hue. So I'm gonna try and bring the saturation up quite a bit and find that nice green somewhere in there. And with that, I think we are about done, more or less. I think it's probably all right. Wonder if a question if I should, yeah, maybe move this a bit. It is really cool in the story because it's the kid, you know, who it's set in 1957 on the background of a Cold War and all the paranoia that goes into this, and the kid has got no really bad preconception about that giant guy of metal. You know, he's not even really scared of him because he looks at him for his demeanor and his behavior, and he really becomes convinced that you know, he's a superhero. He tells him basically, you fly. I mean, you can do all those things. You're basically a superhero, and he shows him like comic books and Superman, all that stuff, and so the Iron Giant kind of likes that, and he finds a big like I think it's a gas station sign or something, and rips it off and takes the S, you know, and puts it on his chest. So yeah, very good story. Lots of fun ideas in that film. If you guys haven't seen it, I really recommend it. I think it's been unfortunately not a very good commercial. It's been a commercial disaster actually when it came out, but it gathered a lot of kind of a cult following now, for very good reasons. Very first film by Brad Bird, who then went on to join Pixar and made The Incredibles and Ratatouille. Boy, just gonna keep those separate, and a bit of maintenance there. Sign. And Iron Giant. There you go. Let's maybe flip him one more time. Make sure we get. Oh, why did I lose my? Yeah. Make sure we got the attitude right. That we're happy. Yeah, I think we're fine. I think I'm gonna call this guy done. Unless, as usual, someone sees something. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to let me know. I'll be glad to fix something if you guys see something really obvious. I think those little studs could be a little more obvious. We're gonna try and make them more visible. Kind of part of the design. Maybe this could go a little lighter too. Let me see. Not sure this is what I should do, but yeah, I think we could afford that. This guy, this guy lost its shadow there. Bring it back. Oh, why not? Oh, okay, hold on. Yep, boom. I think I could probably just lighten up a little bit the side there. Actually, hold on. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to darken this a bit. And then here we'll go just a little lighter. Just feel a bit more shape, a bit more form, I mean. Yep, I think that's probably it. It's oh, I put him, give him a bit of a shadow. Always like to do this. So I'll take all my shadows are there. I'm just gonna take this and just kind of grounds the character a little bit. You know, it's not much, but it helps a little bit. So we can do that. Something like this. I'm gonna paint with full opacity for now, just to make sure that I get it right. Yeah, but there's so many really good pixel artists nowadays doing. I was saying last time, so many things that I feel like at some point, because I come from pixel art from very much the early days. You know, talking about when I started doing my very first sprite. It was probably 1986, or 5 maybe even. And at the time, I was you had to paint with the joystick. There was it was not even painting with a mouse. There was no mouse. You had to paint with the joystick. Imagine that. It was a bit nuts. But then again, you had like, your resolution was on a C64. It was something like 160 by 80 or something, which is ridiculous, really. I mean, that's it's hard to imagine that you can actually make a game, but yeah, we had pretty good games back then. And same thing with the NES for the Americans. They know that I think this console was very successful here. But anyway, so I started back then. I kind of saw all the different times and sort of eras of that, and I was kind of impressed with all the stuff that's been done. But at some point, I thought there was a period not too long ago where I felt like I don't know, people, they were doing pixel art for the sake of doing pixel art. It was more like, oh, we just, we don't really know what kind of stuff, so we're gonna call it pixel art. And then I felt like there was like started a weird trend where pixel art in itself became a style, which I I think to me is a misconception. I don't really consider pixel art as a style. You know, it's more like a medium. You know, it would be like all 3D games are the same. You know, but I felt like a lot of not a lot, but some people they started sort of claiming like, oh my god, what's your art style? It's pixel art. I was like, but it doesn't really mean anything, you know. And there were a lot of games that kind of looked a bit the same, and it was a bit disappointing to me. But I feel like recently it's changed a lot, and you've seen a lot of very interesting art coming from many different indie or non-indie people, and so that's really cool. I'm glad to see that it's still used, and also I feel like now it's really interesting to see how people mix the pixel art by itself with also more modern technology. You know, like there's this crazy game, Death Gambit. Wow, I've never heard of this. I need to write this down. Is it on PC? On Steam. Okay, yeah, I'll have to check it out. But I don't know if you've seen this, Chic, but there is a like I think it was E3 last year or something. It was like I think it was a French guy came up with this demo, and the game is called The Last Night, I think, and they really mixed up some really impressive sort of like a mix. It's a really strange mix of sort of very modern lighting that comes with more sophisticated lighting engines, but with a semi-voxely pixelated art. It's hard to describe, but very cool. Let me see if I can find that last night trailer, and yeah, that's the one. And this looks crazy. I don't know if I'm allowed to. Am I allowed to show that sort of stuff in on before I do something stupid on Twitch or not? Because I'm not too. I'm so new with all the streaming that I'm kind of waiting on you, Sheik, to tell me if it's okay to show a trailer real quick. Oh, okay, yeah. So I'll just go through it real quick. But you see, it's all so it's a really crazy. No, wait, no, that's not the one. What is it? Yeah. Let me go to that part that I'm thinking of. Yeah, so you see, it's all like pixel. Like you can definitely. Oh, my internet. Yeah, look at this. But at the same time, they have all this crazy lighting and effects, and yeah, there you go. Very interesting. Oof. Yeah, my internet. Yeah, see, they have depth of field and blur, and really cool. So I don't know if the game will look anything like this. Apparently, it's just a demo that, you know, just a trailer they put together, but it's not really in-game footage or anything. But the art direction really surely is intriguing, and I think that's what becomes fascinating now with the indie developers when they try things that are not necessarily they don't belong to one world or the other. You know, they try to sort of mix the best of both worlds. So very cool. Yeah, so I think Iron Giant is finished. Yeah, I think so. The question. So in a normally, what I would do is I would add some reflections and specularity to make it really metallic. Like here, you see, there's a lot of strong reflection on the armor on the Robocop. I've got some examples of that. The spinner, you see, it'll have the high specular on the glass. Same thing on this guy. He was a little wet and shiny, so it affects the way the light. But this guy, I think it would be a little weird to do that because at the end of the day, the way people remember him is a very sort of clean, flat character. It doesn't really have any of that sort of metallic feel to him, and simply because at the time they wanted that character that was done in 3D to fit within the 2D style animated feature, and it's interesting that you look at the what they did for the toy, and they didn't put any sort of a metallic shine, and they could have painted this so it looks more like a metal with hard highlights and stuff, but it's all very matte and smooth, and it's a very conscious choice, I think, because they didn't want this to look like, they wanted it to look like the cartoon basically. So I think for me it's better to leave it this way. But yeah, big streamers do it. Yeah. Yeah, so the last night they said that it's gonna be I think they say exclusive PC, I think, and Xbox, if I remember well, but I'm not too sure. But I think it might be a long ways because they in fact it's based on a little Flash game that they did that is super small that you can play online for free. If you type in the last name, you'll find it. There's really nothing to it, but it's kind of a flashback slash another world. If you remember those Eric Chahi games back in the days, it's a similar to this, or yeah, like flashback really. But now they want to make it like the big deal, like a really like a major indie game that will be in the probably in the league of I hate to say this because I think it's hard to beat, but maybe in the vein of Cuphead or something, something like that. You can't question the polish and the amount of just sheer amount of work and polish that goes into it. Even though Cuphead is I mean, this game I think will never age. You'll be able to for good reasons, you'll be able to play this game 10 years from now, it'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, I was so amazed with the work they did. If you've even the soundtrack is crazy. They actually had a real band, a real jazz band playing, composing and playing the entire soundtrack. It's all for real. They animated with paper and like in the old days of animation, and then they scanned it into the computer and then added the color. So just that's something else. And they didn't forget to make a real game out of it, which was the danger. And something like Cuphead, when sometimes you have a hard style that is so strong that it can become the focus, But yeah, it was really, really impressive. It's a hard game, very unforgiving, but I don't mind the very difficult games when they have good mechanics and so when you're the one to blame when you fail. And I think Cuphead gets is in that category. I think, yeah, very, very total masterpiece for sure. Really impressive. So I wonder if I should do something else now, or if I should just call it. I wanted to finish that guy for sure, which is Dawn. And I wonder if I should do something very quickly, something else. I got a list of something like 120-ish characters that I want to make. and plenty of environments and stuff. So there's definitely a lot of things that I still need to do. But I wonder what I should do. So I think I'm gonna close this now. Sorry, because I feel like we're good with that. What could I do? I wonder if I should take one of the small guys and try and just start on it and upscale one of those guys. So I did a bunch more as a small characters for sure. Kind of want to do. I wonder if I should do him. He was cool. That's Blondie in the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly from Sergio Leone. I think it was in 1960. It's old. 1965 movie or so. The interesting story about that is so Clint Eastwood back then he was very young and he was doing TV shows and stuff, and he couldn't really get his breakthrough. There was a lot of young newcomers in Hollywood, like there always is. And then our friend Clint Eastwood, he was a bit desperate. He couldn't really get the role that will sort of start your career. And then Sergio Leone, he's a pretty famous director in Italy, but definitely not in the US. And it was the very early days of spaghetti western, that they called because for fun, because it was done in Italy. And then Sergio Leone got in touch with Clint Eastwood and told him, because he had seen him in some TV show or something, and he said, I got this film that I'd like to make, and I think it'd be perfect for it. And then Clint Eastwood, he talked to his agent and said, I think I'm going to take up on his offer and go to Italy and shoot that film over there. And his agent told him, if you go to Italy, make this film, this dumb western, spaghetti western, you'll never come back to the US. Your career is over. That's it. No one will take you ever seriously ever again. Turns out that's really what his breakthrough was, and he came back with a tremendous added value. Everyone loved Sergio Leone movies in the US, and when he came back, he could get pretty much any part that he wanted. So I don't know. The lesson of the story is that sometimes you just have to go with your gut, But yeah, I thought that story was very fun. Sergio Leone, he was a funny dude. He was he made some of the most iconic westerns in even films about America in general, like Once Upon a Time in America. It was a very iconic movie about the early days of turn of the century and wise guys and crime in New York. But the weird thing is that Sergio Leone, he had never been in the United States for the longest time. He knew nothing about the United States. He thought Boston was in California, but he had the right instinct for the country. The way he portrayed it still resonated, I think, pretty well with the American audience, even though his knowledge of American history and American genre was absolutely abysmal. Couldn't speak English. He couldn't actually direct actors in English. He had to have a translator to help him tell Clint Eastwood what his lines would be. Eli Wallach, who was playing the Ugly in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, was giving his line, delivering his line is Italian, and Clint Eastwood was replying in English. Pretty crazy. So you can imagine the chaos on the on the set, but for some reason, I watch these films now and they work perfectly well. So very fun to see how this evolved. It was Dirty Harry, another very very well-known character from Clint Eastwood. It was very controversial actually in the 70s and the 80s because of his, you know, a lot of some people thought that the film was too. It was about you know, expeditive justice and vigilantes and cops taking justice into their own hands and being, you know, police brutality and all that. And that's why when they did so the second film, I think it was called Magnum Force. The story is about actually a bunch of rogue cops that start killing all the members of the organized crime, you know, because they're sick of, you know, them getting out of the jail and getting the lawyers and stuff. And they try to recruit Dirty Harry, the Harry Callahan, which obviously refuses and tells them that it's not their place to do that, and ends up you know, fighting and dismantling the whole organization. And they definitely did that because they wanted to give another image to the Inspector Harry, you know. So yeah, it's funny how some characters are shaped by the audience over time, you know, or the perception that the studio want to give of a character. Rambo, for instance, is another pretty interesting example. In the original book, Rambo, John Jay, he was actually a much tougher guy and not so nice, to the point that in the book he kills something like 17 people that are after him, you know, because he's completely PTSD. I mean, he's nuts, you know, and he's a Green Beret. So the point of the book was really to emphasize how, you know, the damages of PTSD and how Vietnam veterans, when they came back, they had some serious issues for some of them and were completely left out and abandoned by the government, you know, not treated. PTSD was only recognized as a true illness only a few, maybe 10 years ago. I think it's actually crazy if you look it up. It's very recent that it's actually a recognized illness from by the U.S. government. And but anyway, so Rambo, he was very crazy in the book, and he ends up dying. The end is really is quite gripping. So he kind of lays waste to the entire city, kills a bunch of people that are after him, and the sheriff of the town, he knows the place a little bit, so he manages to hit Rambo, and Rambo flees into the mountains and is wounded, and he's at that point, you know, he knows that he's gone for, so he decides to have a sort of a final duel to the death with the sheriff, and the sheriff goes after him because he feels like it's his, you know, it's his duty. I mean, you can feel that in the book, in the film, where he's like, he's telling Trotman, they call him that, you know, we do our job here just like your special forces and that, and so he thinks it's his duty to really to take care of Rambo, so he goes after him to the mountains, and becomes this sort of deliverance situation, you know, the two of them, 1-to-1, and then and then Rambo, he shoots the sheriff, and the sheriff is wounded, and Rambo, but the sheriff is kind of a bad shot, so he misses Rambo for the second time. He had him wounded, but that's it. And so now Rambo is in a complete dead end because the sheriff is in no condition to kill him. He was hoping to get an honorable death, really like a warrior death, and but the sheriff can't give that to him because he's too bad of a shape. He's bleeding out and he can't do anything. So now Rambo is like, shit, what am I gonna do? And so he takes a grenade, he's got some dynamite, some C4 or something with a fuse. And he decides that he's gonna blow himself out like the Japanese soldiers did during the battles of Iwo Jima or Peleliu. So pretty hardcore, and but he's too wounded and he can't light the fuse. So he can't really do anything. He's just kind of like slowly dying, but not really. And this is the moment where the Colonel Trotman comes in and shoots him with a shotgun in the head. Which is a really bizarre ending, but that's the way it ends. And then, so Trotman is really not a very nice character in the book. So it's a much darker film, book than the film. And then goes into and then Trotman goes to see the sheriff and tells him, I killed Rambo, he's dead. And then the sheriff actually has a moment where before he dies where he sort of empathizes for Rambo and understands finally, the ordeal that he went through and how this sort of escalated to the point where it's at, So anyway, the point of all this was that when the script finally got made, one of the first decisions of Sylvester Stallone, who was a producer on the film, was to say, I don't want Rambo to die at the end, and I don't want him to kill anyone. Because, it wasn't very good for his own image and for the character. He didn't feel like the character should be doing this. And for good or for wrong, but that's the way it was. And then so they decided that it was a kind of good idea. But then at the time, Kirk Douglas, a very famous actor, a very well-known actor for being always a producer on his films, a superstar, one of the monuments of American cinema, and he was supposed to be the Colonel Trotman, and he was like, if I'm gonna be the Colonel Trotman, I want to have my say on the script. And of course, he wanted the film to be much closer to the original book, and he said we need Rambo to be like a real damaged goods, like a guy who's dangerous, who's gonna kill you because of everything that he went through, and that can only end in one way, is that to kill him is like a wounded animal. And they argued for some times, and eventually Kirk Douglas said that he would give up on the part because he wanted the film to be done this way. And actually, Rambo himself was the original cast that they wanted Al Pacino for the role, which is interesting when you think of it. Much smaller dude and everything, but when you think of the energy and the intensity of that actor, when you think of Tony Montana in Scarface, I don't really have a hard time imagining him as Rambo. It would have been certainly a very different Rambo. But interestingly, Al Pacino also wanted Rambo to be closer to the book, because he said that he wanted him to be more crazy, which played on his skills. He wanted a character that he could sink his teeth into. Not some kind of sweetened version of it. And so again, it's kind of an interesting story about how movies and studios and in the history of things, the projects that could have been completely different if they had been treated any other way. And I don't mean by that to say that I don't like Rambo and that they made the wrong choices. I think it's a great movie. I really like the first one, especially. It still has a lot of heart, and I think it's a good role for for Sylvester Stallone, and so it worked in the end, but just maybe in a different way than it could have been. So yeah. Anyway, I could talk about that stuff forever. Just really interested in all that stuff. I wonder. This is a. I wonder if you guys know this. This is a very difficult character to find, probably. Those two are the same guy, and they come from a 1978 movie, I think. Michael by Michael Cimino, and the movie is called The Deer Hunter. And if you want to, if you're just a little bit interested in Vietnam or the Vietnam War, if you like the movies about that time, and if you want a really incredible movie about just a friendship generally, and how it went through a very, very difficult times, I think The Deer Hunter is a must see. Absolute must see. Very, very, very hard. Very, again, it's the that 70s. There were a lot of movies that were very gritty, very tough. They didn't shy from showing and things that we don't really see that much in movies anymore. At least not in Hollywood. Indie films certainly still do that, but back then, a film like Deer Hunter would probably not get made nowadays. It's just generally too hard and too depressing, but it's fantastic. So this guy is a hunter, and that's his version when he goes into the mountains hunting, and that's his version when he goes to Vietnam. And it was Robert De Niro in the role. Let me show this real quick. Deer Hunter. And so there's a very famous sequence with the Russian roulette in this film that is very difficult to take. Both of them. There are two scenes, and the two are very very intense. So that's the first sequence with the Russian roulette, and this is the second one there. And this is so he has this outfit there when he goes hunting that I tried to do here really quickly, very small. And then when he's in Vietnam, he's got the whole sort of Green Beret style outfit. Very, very impressive movie. I think got something like 6 Oscars, Academy Awards, or something like this. I really recommend this. Don't watch this if you're a little bit down and depressed. Wait for the right time, but it's definitely something worth watching. Yeah, that's the outfit there. The Deer Hunter. Yeah, incredible. So you know what I'm gonna do, because why not? I'm just gonna start real quick. I don't think we'll see. I may not finish it, but I'm just gonna start and take I'm gonna take Blondie there, and then I take this guy, copy another document, and then see, this is the actual size in pixels at which it is at 100%. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Go take some rest. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate. It's been good, and I'll see you play Mega Man probably soon. Are you gonna keep playing the same game, or do you change, or what's your plan generally? How do you do that? So we're gonna do 64 here. There. Every week. Yeah, or until, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Okay, well, then good night. Have a good one, and see you next time. Whether on your stream or on mine. I'm just gonna start this quickly. I'm not gonna finish it, but I'll start. Where am I gonna put him? I'm gonna create a new line, maybe. Thanks, Murder Bunny. Have a good night, then. Thank you very much. Thank you for the follow again. Guess should probably look for a quick reference. Blondie the Good. Let's see. Yeah, that's the picture. That's the one. That's the best. Check this out. This guy, man. Looks so cool. I'm gonna take this for now. I don't have the legs, but that's fine. Oops. Here we go. This is more for palette. Just take some of the colors, but I'm just gonna probably change things quite a bit for sure. I'd like to try and get the angle on the legs and all that, which I will probably be able to do there because I have so much more pixels now to work with. So as usual, beginning, it's all quick and dirty and very ugly, but it doesn't matter. We're just trying to get something. Wish I could put him next to one of the. I'm gonna. Oh, okay. Where is Jessica? Gonna. No. Wait. Okay. Just gonna put him next to. Cause I want to make sure that that I get proper size. Just checking. This will get a bit smaller anyway, so it's fine. We'll deal with that. As usual, I'm looking at waistline, because it's kind of a good way of gauging, scale. So yeah, I look at waistline, feet, and then usually shoulders, more or less, and then head. That's about right. So I can, I can go from there probably. I was trying to gauge against all the other characters. They don't have to be all like perfectly, to the pixel in scale, but I try to get them a bit in line, because it's not necessarily that they need to fit together and be next to each other and feel like they're perfectly same in a proper scale, but it's more about the actual resolution of pixels. It is something that you noticed if there is too many pixels in a character compared to another, then you will notice that it looks like one is more detailed or more precise or refined. So you want to make sure that there's no too much discrepancy there. So now I can have fun and have a lot more going on now than I had before. Can really play the little bit of there's a little bit of an angle there in the shoulders, which is an interesting thing to try and get, I think. So I'm gonna try and get it. This guy was so cool in that film. I really love this movie. I think it's my favorite Western for sure. Wonderful. There's so much in it. It's funny. It's also very touching at times. I remember this. I kind of messed up this color there. I remember that scene where they have this battle for the bridge, and then a bunch of soldiers are trying to get the better of the to secure the bridge, and there's an officer there that has no choice but to send them to death. All the soldiers one after another, because it's his job. They have a bridge to take, and anyway, those two guys, Tuco and Blondie, Clint Eastwood, came to that place and realized the absurdity of killing those all those soldiers, for no reason. And but at the same time, they really need to cross that bridge, so they have a very much of an interest into fixing this thing. At least not necessarily crossing the bridge per se, but going on the other side of the river. And but the other side is occupied by the enemy army, and so they decide to blow up the bridge. Because doing this, they kill two birds with one stone. They stop that conflict between the two sides, and then because there's no bridge to fight for anymore, and then they also because there's no bridge left, the other side moves away, and so then they can cross the river. So it's it's done in a very clever way by Sergio Leone, because it shows that at the beginning they have a very practical personal interest in an agenda there, but then you realize that they mainly do it because they feel like they can't just let those soldiers going to battle for forever for a bridge that really no one will care about in not too long. So it's very it's very clever use of the different characters, you know. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I feel like it's one of those films that every scene is perfect, you know, just right. Everything feels like it's been properly, you know, staged and acted and thought about, and I don't know. I feel like the director really shows that he had a very precise idea, and every scene is entertaining. It's in its own way, or dramatic. It's in own way, but it creates a very cohesive feel in the end. Still, you know. So I feel like there's a lot of films that have very good scenes, but they don't gel together really in a story, and others have a different problem. They have a good story and they have a good arc, but sometimes some scenes are a little weirdly paced or a bit boring, or they kind of break the film a little bit. But so it's difficult to have both, and I think he certainly managed to do it. Sergio Leone in that movie. It's a very long film. He likes very long movies. It's over 3 hours long. But if you know his style of directing, he's got this very long silent sequences where nobody talks, and it's all in the eyes and all that stuff. So so that's kind of part of his style, and he's not he's never been shy of really doing what he wants to do, and taking the time that he wants to take for every scene. Actually, it's interesting because I think Tarantino has some of that, except that he's the opposite. He loves the dialogue, but he also knows when to take its time and have a building tension. In his latest western, The Hateful Eight, I think has a lot there's a lot of common DNA with Sergio Leone westerns. And interestingly, also, the music was done by Ennio Morricone, a fantastic composer, Italian composer. Tarantino really wanted him for his movie because he's a fan of Sergio Leone, and he was his sort of a kid's dream, you know, to have his own western with the same composer as Sergio Leone, and also it was kind of sad because poor Sergio Leone never got an Academy Award, even though he made some of the best soundtracks, and he's widely recognized as one of the greatest film composers. But then what they did is that for Hateful Eight, Tarantino climbed on stage with Sergio Leone, and they gave him some kind of a lifetime achievement award or something like this. So it was good that they did that. Definitely deserved it. Gonna go a bit quick. I don't think I'm gonna go too far. I'm getting a bit tired now. 3 hours in, so I'm probably gonna stop soon, and I'll keep going with this next time. I think one of the things that's important for him is make sure the legs are a little bit skinny, because you know, he's always got the sort of the tight pants, jeans, and whatever, and they get a little wider around the feet because of the boots, you know, the cowboy boots. So I think that's flaring shape is something that we need to get for a Western. But he looks a little fat there in the belly, so I'm gonna have to make sure that I cinch his waist a little bit. But we'll do all that next time. I think it's good. It's a very good starting point. At least we get something. And I'll try to finish this next time. That'll be our project for next Monday. Now, let me real quick want to yeah. So yeah, we'll finish this on I think on Monday. It'll be good. So yeah, there it is. I think we're gonna call it now. I'm glad there were a few people. I was glad that so Chic that came here in Murder Bunny. They both from a different stream. Chic is streaming some video games. He's a gifted player. He plays pretty well, so he's a fun guy to watch. And he's a small streamer like me. Doesn't have too many people at the moment, but he certainly he's working on it. Oh, what did I do there? Let me see. Messed up something. Snowy P. Why do we have this? Not too dramatic. Yeah, so that was cool. That was a good stream. And then we finished the Iron Giant. So it was a pretty big one to do. I'm glad that turned out okay in the end. So that's it. That's it for me for tonight. Thanks for the follows, and thanks to everyone who came here, even for a few minutes. It's always very helpful to get a little bit of an audience every time. And I'm gonna wish you all guys a very good weekend now, and I'll see you at the same time, 9 p.m. Pacific time, on next Monday now, and it's gonna be Monday, Wednesday, Friday as usual. So there you have it. Okay, and then on this I'm off. Thank you very much. Bye.